Welcome, everybody, to Fancounters. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And this week, we've got something a little bit different for you.
This really is off of our realm of reality kind of new way of going. I'm excited to talk to her.
Yeah. So this week, what we did was, you know how there's celebrities are already out there. They already are established and all of that. But this week, we're going to talk to somebody who hosts a program that helps discover talent.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating way that they do it.
Yeah, in fact, singers, dancers, actors, models, and instrumentalists are going to be competing at the 22nd Annual World Championships of Performing Arts, July 6th through the 15th of 2018 in Long Beach, California. It kind of reminds me of America's Got Talent, although they've been doing this much longer than that show's been on the air. This is actually an international meet, though, and it's cited as the official Talent Olympics for performers, and it's the only event of its kind.
Performers are selected from the U.S., Canada, the Caribbean, Central and South America, Europe, Asia, and South Africa. Today, the president of the World Championships of the Performing Arts, Gwen Wilson, joins us.
Yep, and I'm really excited to talk to her. In fact, there's a couple success stories that have come out of this competition, which could include some follow-up shows.
Oh, that would be great.
So we're going to be working on that. But for right now,
let's get started.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters, the podcast.
You're amazing. You need to come to Hollywood. I'm going to make you famous.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours.
I just had a fan get a tattoo of my signature on their arm.
Are you kidding me?
I continually will get stopped.
You were on Blue Bloods, weren't you?
Can I take a picture? We're gonna. Oh my God!
I definitely declined signing body parts.
Oh, I don't want to go there.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're gonna last on the air very long.
Hello, how are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us. We're excited to talk about the championships and learn all about it today.
Well, fantastic. I'm excited to share it with you.
The World Championships of Performing Arts kind of sounds a lot like America's Got Talent, only on a worldwide scale, and the fact that you've been operating for over 20 years does put a little bit more emphasis on what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about the contest, how it all works?
Actually, the best visual I can give you is America's Got Talent because it's a variety arts type of show, and yet we do it with an international cast. It is a 9-day event, so it's so much more than just a competition or a contest. We think about it like the Olympics for performing arts. We have opening ceremonies. We have events that go on like a World Star Village in the evenings. We have the competitions that take place, preliminary semifinals and finals. The finals is a theater show that is a live production and it's webcast. Then, of course, we have awards where we give gold, silver, and bronze to all age divisions, that thing, much like the Olympics do. So it is an 8-day event. They leave on the 9th day going home. And it's a lot like America's Got Talent as far as the talent, because you're seeing all types of talent from around the world.
So how many countries participated in this past year?
We have 60 licensed countries. However, not all of them get their visas. So normally about 40, somewhere around 40, 42, something like that, countries actually end up getting their visas and participate each year.
Are there countries that you're targeting to get involved that are not represented?
Yeah, we want all countries involved. So any country who, is not currently participating, we'd love to have them come on board.
So talk to us a little bit about the kinds of categories of the performing arts that the contestants are entering into. I'm aware that there's some singing and acting and dancing. What are some of the other areas of competition?
We have modeling, we have instrumental, along with our acting, dancing, and we have variety arts. And we're getting ready to expand upon that variety arts to make it more like if you think about Cirque du Soleil, to have cirque acts. We're getting ready to expand that division.
Do you do comedians?
We do. That's in the acting.
Oh, okay.
It's, comedic acting. So, yes, we do comedians as well.
So how did this competition get started?
Back when the Olympics were in Los Angeles, and I hear they're getting ready to be in Los Angeles again in a few years. But when they were about, I think it was about 20, maybe 4 years ago, they came through Los Angeles, and our founder at the time was a recent executive with Miss Universe, and he was there, and he saw this, and he thought, well, why do we not have something like this for performers? It's sports gets everything, and our performers are kind of left out. So he decided we should develop an Olympic-style competition for performing artists.
Okay.
And from there, he put together a team, and the rest is history.
So this goes on in Long Beach, and, the Olympics travels. Have you ever thought about making this competition travel?
We do have in some of the other countries, they do championships when they're selecting their teams. But because Hollywood is the it's like the capital for all entertainers in the world. Everybody knows Hollywood. Everybody wants to make it in Hollywood. That's why we decided to make our home in and around the Hollywood entertainment industry. And Long Beach is where that industry began.
So who are the judges that are judging the competition? Where do you find, where are they selected from? And what criteria are they using to find who the champion's going to be?
We have judges that come in from the Hollywood industry. Our preliminary judges are usually agents and managers from the Hollywood industry. As we continue through the process, then they become our celebrity panel of judges, and these are the more famous agents and managers and so forth in all the different areas. So we have people like, Krista Clayman from LA Models. We have, there's a representative usually from Wilhelmina for models, and there's different people in the music industry have judged over the past years, like trying to pull names, how hard that is.
No,
but anyway,
especially when we
anyone can look
put you on the spot
and look at all the different celebrity judges. Certainly they're listed on our website on the front page, so they can take a look and see who the celebrity judges have been in the past.
So now,
and the criteria they're using, of course, we want them to all recognize the techniques of the different areas of competition, but they also are putting a huge emphasis on entertainment value, because in order to be a performer, you have to be able to entertain. So they're certainly putting a high value on entertainment ability.
So the World Championships of Performing Arts is often compared to like an Olympics, as you just said. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your opening ceremonies.
The opening ceremonies is an outside event that we have in Long Beach, and everybody comes in these fabulous costumes that represent their country. So each team has, they'll have team logo wear, but they also have these fabulous costumes. And we have some entertainment, of course, that takes place, and then each team presents their costumes and presents their team. So it's a fun night of seeing a lot of beautiful, colorful costumes and seeing the culture of each one of the countries as they reveal them through their costumes.
Now, is there a set number of people that can be on a team?
No.
Okay.
The teams within the country set their own numbers. They decide, how many they have staff to, be able to manage the teams. Even in the United States, we have a number that our selection committee has decided, okay, we want this many people on the team this year. And normally the U.S. team is in comparison to the other teams. When this was established, it was established with the thought that it would be a true international competition. So many of the competitions that take place that say they're international are actually a U.S. competition, or there'll be some country's competition with a few internationals sprinkled in. We built this so that it would be a true international competition. So we've never allowed Team USA to get larger than the other teams. So normally the other teams dictate how large the USA is going to be.
Okay.
And it's just now got to the point where enough of the teams are large enough that we started to take some of the restrictions off of USA.
Wow. So kind of Team USA has maybe a disadvantage just because you have to cut the number down?
Well, we've kind of held that back and not been advertising and marketing. And now it's so funny as we're starting to start to do that more. Now people go, "You've been here for 20 years and we haven't heard of you." Well, that's because we didn't market to you. We were too busy marketing in the other countries, trying to get them through, trying to get their visas, trying to, make it happen for the international. That now we're just now turning around and starting to say, hey, now it's time to beef up the USA team.
You mentioned before about different championships that other countries might have to be able to showcase who they're sending to Long Beach. But how are they selected and invited? Is there a process that they have to go through?
There is a process. In every country, it's a little bit different. Like in some countries, like I said, it's the championships, and they go through a series of competitions. In other countries, it may be that they do have a selection committee, and they actually go and hold a live audition. And then in some countries, kind of in the U.S., they do both. They do live auditions in some states, and in some states, they just do online auditions.
Okay.
So it's a combination of online, live, and then competitions.
So no competition is complete without a prize. You said the winners take home gold, bronze, and silver. Do the participants take home anything besides just great memories?
The participants, a tremendous amount of awards are given. Let me first say that. The fact that we give awards in every age division, and there's in every category, and there's usually like 10 different events under, like a vocalist can also be, there'll be a vocal country, vocal Broadway, vocal opera, vocal, all different genres. And so then you have to break it down by female and male in every age division. So you can imagine on awards day, there's like 4 hours straight of
Yikes.
just medal awards and 4 hours straight of just senior medal awards. So it's a tremendous amount of awards. Then we give overall awards for the top person in 2 age divisions then. And of course, then their semifinal awards and their final awards. And, so there's a tremendous amount of awards taking place during this. But we also give $500,000 in continuing education scholarships. And so a lot of people, end up coming back to Hollywood or coming back to one of the schools that awarded them the scholarships. And then, of course, we have the finalists who win Grand Champion Junior and Grand Champion Senior. They also have a paid trip to come back and be the guest performers at the next year's event.
Oh, fun.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, we have, a prize package that's also given by our sponsors, as well.
Okay. I would love to hear about some of the 2017 winners, since this competition takes place in July, so you've wrapped for the year. But can you tell us a little bit about your favorites and what made them stand out?
The one great thing about the World Championships of Performing Arts is everyone is such a great entertainer, and they're so talented. It's really hard to say, okay, this one just stands out to me, because they're all excellent. They, have studied their crafts. They're at the top of their game. And so, I always have a tendency to love the vocalists. That's, it's popular among, almost every team is their vocalist. Maybe because you relate to them, because everybody tries to sing in their car and in the shower or something. I don't know.
I won't admit to that publicly, but maybe.
Then there's the unique acts also that, in variety that always stand out, because it's always usually something different. And in instrumental, with having the culture of so many of these countries, you'll see that very unique instrument that maybe you've never seen before. And so there's a lot to see and a lot to enjoy, when you attend the World Championships.
Are there elimination rounds with this, or is it strictly they find out on the last day? Or are you sending people, quote unquote, home throughout this 8-day process?
We do have elimination process. You start out in a preliminary round, and then on Wednesday of the week, we narrow that down to semifinals. Then all the semifinalists compete again for placement on the show, which is the finale. And so there is elimination. They don't really go home because, of course, it's an 8-day wonderful activities every day, that type of thing. And there's so much for them to enjoy each day. And there's a new, even after Wednesday, if they're not selected, the next day they go into go-sees where they can sit down with agents and managers and talk about what the needs are in Hollywood or what the needs are in New York or wherever that agent or manager happens to be from, so that they can be better informed. They can leave their information with them. The difference with us and a lot of the more popular shows that you've mentioned earlier as we've been speaking is that when someone signs with an agent or a manager, we do not own them. We do not take any commissions from their work, nothing. We're just there to create that opportunity for them.
I think that's awesome.
So one of the most intense parts of the competition is what you call the World Stars Boot Camp. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, the World Stars Boot Camp starts at the beginning of the week. And what that is people from the industry come in and they will hold about a 45-minute to an hour and 15-minute seminar. And there are 4 tracks. So if you're a vocalist or a dancer or a model or instrumentalist or whatever your area of competition is, you can go into these boot camps. There are even some on stage fright. What do you do if you have stage fright? So it's just to give them a little more information about real Hollywood experiences. We want people to go home taking with them, what did I perceive Hollywood to be versus what is it really? In modeling, they teach a boot camp that's called The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, so that it really prepares them for, if you truly want to be a model, this is what you can expect. If you, New York Conservatory and New York Film and Television, they teach the acting segment, and they really talk about, what does your resume really need to look like? What's going to get you through the door at an audition? What do your comp cards really need to look like? Now, we're not there to sell comp cards, and we're not there to do anything like that. We don't do that at our event. But they give them the information so they can take it home. So if something they're doing is wrong, they find out. Or if they're doing everything right, they find out. And, and then there's people, there's classes for vocalists that are, that it's about how to get your songs published if you're someone who would write your own songs. There are producers that come in and say, if you are looking to be in the business, this is what you have to bring to us before you're going to get signed by a record company. So it's really just to give them inside information so they don't waste a lot of time and money trying to make it in an industry without having the knowledge to do so.
So because this is an international competition, these international competitors have the intent of wanting to be in Hollywood or New York? I mean, they're coming to America to perform in America, or they're trying to do this back home when they go home?
Most of them really just want to win in Hollywood so that when they go back to their home countries, they're given instant credibility. There are some who are trying to make it, and a lot of them do move. In fact, recently there was a music producer who, he's worked with Disney, he's worked with almost all of the top names. He was a previous WCOPA alumni, and then a new saxophone player who was 2013. And then they also worked with one of our boot camp producers to work on a project. So they're starting to find each other, and they're starting to work together. And so a lot of times they do come in for projects, or either they will move here and try to make it in LA. There's a couple from Australia that are now, you'll see them in sitcoms or movies and different things. So, yes, there are people who move here and make it and start working the industry in the United States. But I would say the majority of them want to go back into their own countries, and they want to be given the credibility of winning on a world stage so that they then can get that audition they want in their country.
That makes a lot of sense. And in fact, talking about the boot camp aspect with teaching them, everybody about the real ins of the industry instead of, because you could search something online and get completely bad information, but you're bringing in experts to guide them and really show them this is the right route, the right path that you should take. So I think that's pretty cool. There's been a lot of success stories that have come out of the World Championships of Performing Arts. One of them is Jillian Shea Spader. She competed in the competition, and during that boot camp seminar that we were just talking about, a talent manager by the name of Susie Maines spotted her and then began representing her. Jillian can be seen on Disney's Walk the Prank. Gwen, is this kind of situation an encounter common?
It's common enough that when we do our program, we have pages and pages and pages of success stories. Through the years, they have, and some of them are, yes, they meet their manager or their agent at World. Sometimes they sign with producers to produce their records at World or their projects at World. But more so than that, it's actually the door that just being there, gaining the information, it revives something in them that makes them want to go out and work harder in their trade. So a lot of times it's more about opening the doors. So when they go back, usually I would say within a year or 2 years of someone coming to World, we will start getting their success story.
Mm-hmm.
They'll start saying, yes, when I returned, I was able to get that audition I never was able to get before. Or I worked with that producer and I released this, which led to that. So it's that type of success story that we continue to hear. And then sometimes, ironically enough, we will hear 10 years down the road, they'll say, oh yeah, we just didn't we didn't contact you back, but I've been modeling all over the world since.
Oh my gosh!
Since
yeah, by the way,
WCOPA, and I just wanted to tell you how you changed my life.
Aw.
And we're like, oh well, that's great. We had no idea you were doing that. The entertainment industry is a huge, huge industry, and not everyone that's in it is a household name. But there are tons of people making their living and becoming extremely successful, because as a result of doing different projects. They're making a living and doing it, and so that's what we consider a success. It's not necessarily that you're on the A-list of Hollywood; it's that you're doing what you love to do, and we were able to somehow help you open those doors. Because something has to set you apart. I know a lot of times I talk with people about, we always try to find out when we're, out of the USA office, when someone's working, my staff is working with, we actually still run the USA team with World Championships, where all the other countries are actually licensed separate from WCOPA. World Stars USA is actually a division of WCOPA. And so the people who work in the office, I get to hear them talk to people who are interested in being on Team USA. And when they do so, we ask them, always find out what that person's trying to accomplish, because we want to help them accomplish their goals. So it may be something as simple as, how do I set myself apart from the masses of people who are trying to get into a university? How do you do that? Well, it's obviously going to an international competition where you experience the culture of 60 countries, and let's say you want a gold in whatever, that opens that door. That makes you look different from the other thousands of applications that cross that person's desk. So sometimes it's something very simple they're trying to accomplish. It's not always they're trying to make it in Hollywood. Sometimes it's just they want to be that big fish in a small town.
About how many people actually participate? We talked about the number of countries, but how many people is this making up per year in competition?
It's about 2,000 people that come.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's a huge event.
Yeah. Well, and I want to I want to promote this right now, because if you go to WCOPA.com and you look, you can watch your championship show right online. Mm-hmm. And this is no joke. That show is like intensely, I want to say professional, but it's huge. Like, it's a major stage, major sets. It's brilliant. The whole show is very entertaining. I was watching lots of different acts go through just to see what kind of difference in talent there was, and everybody's phenomenal. So hats off to you guys. That show looks fantastic. And it's brilliantly shot too. As a videographer, I will throw in, it's beautifully edited and shot.
Well, thank you. We work very hard on it, and it's a lot of work that leads up to it. And like last year when we left the event after 9 days, I actually, I was doing this nice little Facebook, posting like we all do. And I started listing everything that took place within that 9 days. And I was even exhausted.
Oh my gosh.
How does this all get accomplished in 9 days? But that show being shot live, you can imagine it's not like television where they stop filming and you go back and pick up. Everything that you're seeing there is shot live.
Wow. Very cool. And how many people are on your staff to manage 2,000 participants? How many people do you have working the event?
There are several different staff. There's a volunteer staff. There's the volunteer staff is about 45 people.
Okay.
Then we have the show staff, which is another probably 25 people, and then we have an executive staff of 10 people. So I'd say there's probably what did I just say? Probably 65, 70 people. Then then you have to think every team has their own staff with them.
Okay.
So you have your directors, and you have your chaperones, and you have all that come with each team. So it's a tremendous amount of people that help all of these people.
Where do you put all these people?
There is a, in that Long Beach, it's very much a resort area. So there's quite a few hotels right there at the Long Beach Performing Arts Center, which is where the majority of our competition's held. And that's where the Long Beach Theater is also held. Our host hotel is the Westin Hotel right across the street. But then we also have, multiple hotels in the area that we overflow into.
And do you put them up, or do they have to pay for their own room and board?
They pay for their own lodging.
So one of the stories we read about 2017 was that Jamaican team participating was held up due to their U.S. visa not being approved. Now, do you get involved in something like that? And what was the final outcome? Did they finally make it to the show?
We did have a Team Jamaica. It was not as large as they had anticipated because many did not get their visas. We do get involved in the process in that we send them all invitation letters stating, yes, they are coming to the World Championships of Performing Arts, and yes, they have been selected for the team that they say they're representing and so forth. But the way the USA laws are, the consulates really don't have to give them an answer. They don't have to tell them why they were denied. They just tell them you are denied.
So as the director or whatever, you're not able to really, because it's the U.S. government. There's not a lot you can probably do to help.
We can't make the U.S. government do anything. So, no, we just try to prepare them the best way we know how, and we try to make sure that they have all the documentation and the supporting documentation. It's not as easy to come into the United States as people think it is. And they do have to have quite a bit of documentation. They have to show their bank statements. They have to a lot more information than we would want to show if we were going somewhere. So they have to show whether they will come back to their country because they have children there, or they have adult parents there, or they have a job that they need to come back to, or they're a student and they're only halfway through their education. They have to show why they would return to their country. And then they have to show that they have the money to actually come into the United States for the time that they're going to have their visa.
Interesting. I didn't know any of that. Did you?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
How far in advance do they have to have this process? Like, do you have any idea who's competing in 2018, and are they already working on their visas?
Well, and that's the unique thing about it also is usually the consulates will not give them an interview until they are just, probably 4 to 6 weeks out.
Oh.
So they do all this preparation. They put all the money into the costumes. They do all that only to find out they've been denied. And they can come back again. I mean, they can go back 2 or 3 times if they want to. But each time they do that, it costs quite a bit to get their, to apply for a visa. They have to pay that fee each time that they reapply.
Curious about this year's competition and the different celebrities that are involved. Do you have celebrities locked in for 2018 that are going to be a part of the judging process or the coaching?
No, we do not, because you are, again, in the Hollywood industry where, some of these, even if they tell you, yes, I'd like to come in 2018, some big project comes across their desk and they have to take that project.
They're not saying no. I
millions
understand.
of dollars. They're not going to, they're not going to come to us, when something huge is crossing their desk. So normally we do not, we do not finalize those to the last weeks prior to the event.
Okay.
So that's why on our site you'll see these were previous judges.
Yeah.
Because we cannot make the claim that they will be there because we don't know.
Well, because Hollywood is fickle, man. You make one bad movie, maybe they don't want you there anymore. Okay, so the World Championships of Performing Arts talks a lot about give back programs where they invest in U.S. performing arts schools and educators. Can you give us more information about the giving back the competition does?
Yes. We give back in a lot of different ways, but one way is financial. And the financial way is anytime a contestant comes from a particular school that has signed up to be a give back school, we give a portion of their entry fee back to the school.
Oh, nice.
So that they can continue to pay for, the things they need to continue to train the artist. But of course, then they also give back into their communities by giving up their time and talent to entertain at charities and festivals and, all the things that they do.
As a film writer and screenwriter, I have often tackled issues of bullying in my scripts. In fact, I've got an entire movie dedicated to what happens when we ignore a kid's cry for help. Your competition on the website says it has a strict anti-bullying policy in place. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the initiatives that you've implemented to ensure that a positive experience is had by everybody who comes.
It's a subject that we've rarely had to deal with, fortunately. And I think the reason for that is because when these entertainers get into an environment that's so supportive, and unlike maybe when a performer is performing where they're around people who are not talented, and so it's a lot of jealousy.
Sure.
In this environment, people are supporting each other because they recognize talent, number one, and two, they know how hard that person had to work to get there. Only one performer can truly understand how hard it is to get to that level. And so because of that, they really seem to support each other. Even from the first night, a group will take the stage and they'll do something that's just, crazy talented. And I mean, every team is screaming and hollering and, they're just so into it because they realize the dedication it takes to your talent to get to that level. So fortunately, we don't deal with it as much as, you may think. But even with that said, we make sure that it's an environment that is supportive. Every team by their directors are talked to previously about, what it means to represent your country, what it means to support another team member. And, we have found that in performing arts, a lot of these kids are bullied, and they've been in an environment where they are bullied because they are so talented and they have separated themselves out from the masses. And so people still want to tear them down. Other kids want to tear them down because they don't like that they get all this attention because of their, and so, we think, okay, to be able to take that break from that and come into an environment where you're totally supported, how wonderful is that?
It's gotta
have
feel
9
weird
days
sometimes.
you can relate to people who are just like you. They're sharing the same problems, they have the same issues to overcome, all, and to be so supported in that. We find that they network and they start even talking to each other throughout the years because just like the Olympics, these entertainers do have to raise their support to get to the World Championships. It's not, just think about the travel and the hotel and, things like that. That's not for 9 days. That's not cheap.
Right.
So they don't come back every year. So to have this person that you met in another country or you met in another city who supports your dreams, they start networking back in their countries and visiting each other. And some of them are even put on selection committees in their countries. So they then turn around and start looking for other talent to give them the same opportunities they had. So it just creates this wonderful network of support that I think sometimes that's what's wrong with the bully experiences is they feel like they're all alone.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And unfortunately, in bullying, it's not really the bully that's the different person. It's how we have perceived all this, that we have allowed the person who's doing the bully bullying to be strong. So what we're trying to do is to introduce a different conversation in that your bully is the one with the problem, and that instead of feeling like the weak person, maybe you need to say to someone, hey, that person's bullying, they need help. There's something wrong there. They need the help. And so pretty soon it gives that person who's being bullied, a feeling of empowerment, because I realize I'm not the one with the problem. It's the person bullying that has the problem. So we just try to introduce some of that thought process, some of that dialogue, so that it gives them this supportive environment that they can enjoy at least once a year.
Now, you've been the director of this for the entire run, right? All 21 years so far?
I have been with the organization 21 years. It is a board. I'm the president. We do have a CEO, and, there's a whole executive committee. But we have all been doing it for this will be our 22nd year. I had to stop and think. Yeah, it'll be our 23rd year, I think is this year. Yeah, 23 years. So this coming year will be 23 years.
So what's been the most fulfilling part for you? Like when you think about getting ready for 2018, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm very much the logistics person. I like to put it all together and see it happen. It's amazing. It's not one person. No one person could ever put this together. So it's amazing to put together the team that makes this happen. And we have a phenomenal team. Even our volunteers, the majority have been with us over 10 years. And so you can see it's something that they enjoy. They come back to do it over and over. And that to me is the most fulfilling, is just to see how this group of people can come together and do something that's so much bigger than an individual.
Okay, so we record this in Wisconsin. So let's just say I get chosen. Let's talk about how do they get, first of all, how do they get chosen? How do I get on the team? And you did say that there's some live auditions and some online ones, but do I just go to your website and put in an online one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Even if we had live ones, you would still go to the same place. You can go to the website, www.wcopa.com. Over to the right, there's a button that says audition. You click on that and you complete that. We then send that, regardless of whether you're in Wisconsin or you're in, the Philippines, or you're in South Africa, or you're in China.
Okay.
You would do it the same way. You fill that out, and then we send that to the person that is responsible for your area. Once they receive that, then they contact you and tell you what's available to you. They will tell you, okay, we're not having anything anytime soon in your area, so you can audition online. Or they may say, we're having an event in 4 weeks in your area, and this is how you enter that event.
Okay. Now, I realize that depending upon where I'm from or what country I've come from, but let's just talk about a ballpark cost. So I'm going to come and stay. I mean, in Wisconsin, obviously, our cost of living is different than it is in California. So am I looking at a $10,000 expense for 9 days? Am I looking at a $5,000 expense for 9 days? Well, I'm not asking you to give me the exact amount. I'm just looking for a ballpark of how would I plan for this?
Mm-hmm. I would say that 80% of all of our people raise their sponsorships, just like they do for the Olympics. So you have to think about how you want to come, number one. It's no way I could ever tell someone exactly what it's going to cost them, because if you're coming in on a private plane, it's going to cost you one thing.
Right.
And we have had people do that.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
If you're coming in commercial, it's going to cost you something else.
Yeah.
If you are driving across town because you live in the LA area, that's a whole different fee. So obviously it's your travel cost based on how you want to get there. And that's totally up to you how you,
Sure.
I can only think of one team that actually makes the arrangements for travel for their team. But anyway, most of the time you decide how you're going to get there with your team. And then, of course, you have the transportation from the airport to the hotel if you fly in.
Sure.
Of course, then you have your accommodations for 8 days. And then you have obviously your entry fee. And I can tell you in the USA that's $1,695, and that includes the entire week. Now, in some of the other countries, the license on it is a lot less based on the dollar exchange in those countries.
Okay.
I'm wondering about
so it really depends on which country you're coming from.
Oh, I was just wondering about like logistics of food. Like, are you setting up mass catering for these people, or are restaurants getting flooded, or how do 2,000 people eat in Long Beach
Right.
and the time that they have off from the competition?
Long Beach is a resort area. There are some teams decide, you know what, we want, obviously if you are someone who's trying to stay physically fit, you're not going to the local cheeseburger stand.
Every
but they're
day,
everything from they're everything from food trucks all the way up to 5-star restaurants in Long Beach within walking distance of the hotel.
Oh, okay.
So during the heaviest competitions, our venues have, like grab and go type of items. But
Very
then
nice.
at night, you have plenty of time to go down onto the waterfront, take advantage of some of these beautiful restaurants that set on the water. Or you can just go pick up a cheeseburger or a taco or a fish taco at your local taco stand. It's totally up to them how they choose to,
Okay.
So this is a wonderful incentive for the Long
and that
Beach
makes
community.
it wonderful too because
Because you're bringing in all this tourist dollars to the city.
Exactly.
That's fabulous.
Exactly.
I'm sure the restaurants love it. I was just curious how.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like how do I
And they
do this?
They give us they give coupons so they'll come to see their restaurant. Those
Yeah.
kinds of things are all put in their packages. So we try to make it as affordable as possible.
Okay.
And again, depending on your taste, or you can come as inexpensively as you like. Again, even with your accommodations, if you want to stay with 4 other contestants in a room, hey, that just cuts your accommodations into a quarter.
You got
If you want to, stay in a suite, then obviously that's going to come at a higher price tag.
Okay.
So there's a lot of options and a lot of different ways that they can do this. So it can be as inexpensive as you want it, or it can be as expensive as you want it to be.
Okay.
And I often hear people state online what they perceive our costs to be, and I always laugh when I see that, because usually it's always overstated.
The time period that we're in right now, kind of between competitions, what are you and your staff doing? Like, what's taking up your time to prepare for 2018?
Right now, the majority of the licensees are auditioning. They're spending their time auditioning. Our executive staff, we're already planning 2020.
Oh wow! So
we're
you're
going
way
out-
past 2018. You got 2018 figured out.
We're already on to 2020. We're looking at, we're constantly looking at where we're going. The event does move around a little bit, so we're always looking to see, okay, what's the next convention? A convention town. Where do we need to be? Where are we going to get? Are people going to get the best prices? Where do we need to go to make food available? It's all those things you just asked.
Okay.
We're already looking at 2020. We're going to be in Long Beach, we know, until 2020. And then there's one year where we're actually already doing things like flying to Vegas to look at what's available, because when the Olympics come through Los Angeles, there won't be any availability anywhere.
Right.
So
sure. And
we're
you're going to
planning
really
ahead
conflict
off
with
that.
that if it's Summer Olympics.
Exactly. So we're planning, we constantly are in the planning stages. We're constantly looking at, okay, how do we logistically make this happen every year?
Anything
Exactly.
that you want us to know about the competition, or anything that we might have missed asking you about that would help our listeners?
I think you covered most of it. The one thing that I would encourage someone is, to really not to let the cost or anything that we've talked about defer them from trying to get on a team, because there's so many opportunities out there, and there's so many scholarships, and there's so many sponsors, and there's different things, and we can help you find a way to get there. If it's your passion, you'll find a way. I had a unique opportunity a couple years ago. A young man wanted to come from Canada, and his parents told him there was no way he could come. It's just no way. They could not afford it. And he went out and sold chocolate bars, and he had everyone he knew give him recyclable items. And between recyclable items and chocolate bars, he not only paid for his way to come to World Championships, he paid for his parents as well.
Wow.
So if it's your passion, you'll find a way, and we could help you by giving you suggestions on, as to where to find sponsors and where to go. So don't ever let, any obstacle get in your way of pursuing your passion.
I think that's true in any type of industry or goal.
Exactly.
So, no, it's great advice. So we already mentioned the website, wcopa.com, if you want to get more information on the competition. Is there any other contact information or Twitter or any place else that we can follow all the updates?
Yes, official WCOPA will get you on Facebook. We're on all of them, all those different social medias. We have a presence on almost all of them.
Excellent.
So we're not hard to find. If you want to find us, we're pretty easy.
Great.
Or you certainly can call our office as well. The United States office is 323-828-1238. And someone is here most office hours, and they will assist you and get you to the right place.
Well, this is exciting information for our listeners, and we hope that somewhere out there is our next big world champion.
Hopefully a USA. Go Team USA.
We may be a little biased.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Gwen, thanks for taking time to talk with us.
Stay neutral, so.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask you to, weigh in. Who's your favorite? No, I won't ask that. That was not on the list. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. Certainly been a different kind of episode, but, all talent has to come from somewhere, and everybody starts from somewhere. And for some people, this was it.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and we hope that all of your listeners will go for the gold.
We do too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Gwen.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was a very interesting interview. I'm so glad that some of our listeners got to hear it. I would never have guessed that was how the process worked with the World
Championship of Performing Arts.
Yes, thank you.
No, I didn't either. In fact, they were very nice to reach out to us on our Facebook page, which you can do by visiting facebook.com/fancounters. Shameless plug.
Or you can email us at hello@fancounters.com.
That's right. But they came to us and said, we've graduated some wonderful talent into Hollywood from this program, and would you like to talk about it? And if you come to me with a great idea that has something to do with us being fans of something and of people, chances are we'll take your idea and we'll run with it. Because I was entertained, at least to find out how this competition works. I mean, can you imagine 2,000 people?
It's mind-blowing to me. I don't have any concept of how big Long Beach is.
Me neither.
But I can't imagine that an extra 2,000 people isn't noticed.
Right, and especially worldwide.
Right,
think of the language
international,
barriers.
2,000 people, right.
Which we didn't even ask about. Maybe that was a missed opportunity. We should have asked about how the language barrier affects understanding the judging comments and all of that.
I do see the translator button on their website.
Oh, well.
So you can have all of it translated for you if you do not understand what language it's in.
That's true. And, I bet that each team might bring a translator with them.
I bet they do.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got more fun for you next week, and we hope you tune in to a brand new episode of Fancounters every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, all those great podcasting apps. If you're listening now, you already found one. So.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, and go to Facebook. This is your homework. Go to facebook.com/fancounters and hit that like button for me, okay? And we'll see you next week.
Bye.